What's going on, guys? It's Mitch from the Bottom Line View here to get you up to date with all the NFL free agency news, and I'm giving you my analysis for March 9th, 2016. A ton happened today in the NFL, even more than yesterday. 3 pages of notes, 3 pages of signings, a lot. So let's get into it with a bang. We start off with Leodis Mckelvin. Leodis Mckelvin. 2-year deal, $6 million with the Eagles. I think this is a good depth signing by the Eagles. Good depth cornerback. The Eagles needed an upgrade there, and he also adds some value in the return game for them. Rodney Mcleod, formerly of the St. Louis Rams, signed with the Philadelphia Eagles also. 5-year deal, $37.5 million. He's a playmaker. He's a guy that pair him with Jenkins. They can make some plays back there. I think he's a pretty good player overall. He's still young, and you form a very solid safety duo for the Eagles. So I think this is a good signing for them. It's not too much. It's not too little. I think it was a solid signing for the Eagles in terms of money and in terms of a good player that they signed. Next, Janoris Jenkins, New York Giants. This was way too much money, okay? He was arguably not even the best Ram cornerback last year. It's questionable to give him this much money. He's already 27, so he's in his prime, and he's not a top-notch cornerback. He's going to be probably the Giants' second cornerback behind DRC, and it just seems like a panic move. But at least the Giants are trying to fix that horrible pass defense that they did have last year, so you got to give them credit for at least making the signing. Next, defensive tackle Damon Harrison signed with the New York Giants. This is interesting as well. The Giants made a number of interesting moves today, and this is one of them because Harrison is a very elite run stopper. He's a nose tackle who played in a 3-4 for the Jets, and now he's going to move over to the Giants where he's going to play probably in a 4-3, and he's not the greatest pass rusher, but he is a very solid run stopper. And the Giants were pretty good against the run last year, but they couldn't rush the passer. So that's an interesting move from the Giants. I don't know if they really needed this move out of necessity or if they just felt like they needed to throw more money at another defensive lineman. This is maybe a little bit of a panic move as well, but they are getting a good, proven run stopper and a solid player in the middle of their defense. And the last move for the Giants today, another ginormous move, Olivier Vernon. New York Giants signed him to a 5-year, $85.5 million deal, making him the richest defensive end in NFL history. And this is crazy to me. I think that you're just setting Vernon up for disaster. Sure, he's a young guy with tons of talent. He's quick off the line. He's a good pass rusher. He's ferocious. But he's a guy that's undisciplined. I believe he took one of the most penalties in the league last year. And he's a guy that really needs to tune his game. He's not a top-notch pass rusher yet. So it's an interesting deal to give him that much money without being exactly one of the best at his position already. So you're not exactly getting a proven guy, that is, for the Giants. But they wanted a pass rusher. They got the best one there is to get in free agency. So, again, you got to give the Giants credit for at least trying. Next move, Benjamin Watson signed a 2-year deal for $8 million, and I'm happy for Ben. He was a great player for the Patriots. He's a great pro, and he had a breakout best year of his career last year with the Saints, and that may be because the Saints are great with tight ends, and we'll talk about that in a bit, with Coby Fleener signing for a 5-year, $36 million deal with the Saints. But I think Watson fits in with the Ravens. They needed a tight end. They needed a reliable guy that will be there, catch the ball for Joe Flacco, and I think they got that at least for 2 more years. Next, Coby Fleener, as I brought up, 5-year, $36 million deal for the Saints. Schematically and need speaking, I think this is a good signing. The Saints always get the most out of their tight ends, and I think that they'll get the most out of Fleener, who can line up in a majority of different positions. He's good as a receiver, and he's not the greatest blocker, but they love to use their tight ends as receivers. He's big, fast, and I think that Fleener should put up some numbers for the Saints this year. Brock Osweiler, this is a huge one. 4-year, $72 million deal for the Texans. All I gotta say is wowie. That is a lot of money for, let's be honest, a guy that's not very good. Brock Osweiler has proven to do what exactly? He hasn't proved that he can win the game by himself. He hasn't even really carried a team yet. And I don't know if he has the leadership skills to be a great quarterback in this league. Sure, he has a big arm. He's athletic. But are you going to give $72 million to potential with a guy that has a big arm and is athletic? You probably could have given the same amount of money to Jamarcus Russell. So that's just my opinion. Next, you got Lamar Miller. 4 years, $26 million for the Texans as well. Brock Osweiler signed with the Texans as well. And I think that they're at least going with a potential plan that could turn out for them, because Lamar Miller is a young running back. He still has tons of legs left, and I think he's actually good. Like, he has a lot of speed. He's explosive. He'll get more touches with the Texans. He'll get more carries. He'll get a lot of passes thrown to him in this offense. And I think that is a good scheme fit for both Lamar Miller and for the Texans. So that was a good signing for the Texans. The Brock one, though, I'm not so sure. Next, Chris Ivory for the Jacksonville Jaguars. 5 years, $32 million. Ivory breaks a lot of tackles, and he'll play in a duo with TJ Yeldon to probably stay a little more fresh than he was with the Jets. He kind of got banged up late in the season with a hamstring injury, I believe. I do like this signing for the Jaguars. I think it keeps pressure off of Blake Bortles. It will help him develop as an offense. I think this offense could potentially be one of the top 5 in the league. Yeah, I said it. I think that they can score a lot of points. You got Bortles at quarterback, who's not afraid to sling it, has a big arm, and is only getting better. You have Allen Robinson and Allen Hurns at wide receiver. You have now Chris Ivory and TJ Yeldon, and I believe they still have Denard Robinson. I could be wrong. And they also improved their offensive line, so, man, this could be good. And Mercedes Lewis is still there at tight end, and Julius Thomas. I should say Julius Thomas first because he's a lot better, but I don't know why I said Mercedes Lewis. Maybe it's because he's been there his whole career. Next, we got Marvin Jones, 5-year deal. $40 million. That is insane for a number 2 wide receiver, guys. That's a lot of money to give a guy just because you lost Calvin Johnson. I get that Calvin Johnson is one of the greatest receivers of all time. I shouldn't really be saying that. But Marvin Jones isn't a guy that's going to step in and play like Calvin Johnson. Like, 5 years, $40 million, that's $8 million a year. So that is pretty big. Like, my team, the Patriots, they pay Edelman 4 a year. Like, really? 8? That's a lot. But he has size. He's young. He has a knack for the end zone. So, sure, they needed a receiver, and they got one who's serviceable. Bruce Irvin, 4 years, $37 million. I love this. I love this signing for the Raiders. The Raiders are going to be a good team. They added another versatile linebacker in Bruce Irvin. He's fast. He's a very, very good pass rusher, and he can line up in a number of different positions. He could probably even play 3-4 outside linebacker. He can definitely play 4-3 outside linebacker as he has his whole career. He can also play 4-3 defensive end and rush the passer. So pair him up with Khalil Mack, and they'll have a very good pass rush going into next season. Travis Benjamin to the San Diego Chargers for a 4-year, $24 million deal. This is another deal that I really, really like for the Chargers. I love Benjamin. First of all, he's fast but small, and I just tend to like those type of receivers. And he's basically a T.Y. Hilton, and he's going to go to the Chargers with Phillip Rivers in an offense that already has a good pass offense. He's probably going to be the second target there, or third, depending on how much Antonio Gates or how well Antonio Gates plays. But Keenan Allen's already there for the medium-range passing game and the short passing game, and you have Antonio Gates eating up the middle of the field, and then boom, you can send a bomb to Travis Benjamin. So I really like this move for the San Diego Chargers. I think their offense will be pretty awesome next year. Next, Chase Daniel to the Eagles for a 3 year deal, $21 million. And this just has me thinking, well, do they not have confidence in Mr. Bradford because they're bringing in another quarterback who is young, who has potential, who's a guy that was looked at as maybe a future starter in the NFL? So, sure, he's following Doug Peterson to the Eagles. It's an interesting move, very interesting. I think that it could work out with them if Sam Bradford doesn't work out because he has a lot of similar tools. Next, Alex Boone to the Minnesota Vikings for a 4-year, $26.8 million deal. He's a veteran guard who's been good his whole career. He's been a solid guard, and he'll only improve the run game in Minnesota. So AP is probably smiling right now. Next, Derek Shelby for the Falcons, 4-year, $18 million deal. He played in the place of Cameron Wake last year. Solid defensive end, good against the run. He's a little small, and he needs to develop as a pass rusher, but he's definitely an upgrade for Atlanta, and he came pretty cheap for a relatively young player. So I like this for Dan Quinn's defense. And another signing by the Texans, Jeff Allen, 4-year, $28 million deal coming from the Chiefs. He only actually played 8 games for the Chiefs last year, but he was pretty good, and he should help improve the Texans' run game for Lamar Miller. So that's a hand-in-hand signing right there. You got the offensive lineman, you got the running back, and you got the quarterback. Brandon Brooks for the Eagles, 5-year, $40 million deal. That's another huge deal for, let's be honest, not a very good run blocker, and he's probably pretty average at the position, so I would say that you overpaid, Eagles. Next, Mark Barron, linebacker, not safety anymore. 5-year, $45 million deal. This is another one where I think that this team overpaid. The Rams, sure, Barron's a good player, and he transitioned well to linebacker, but he's only proven that he can play for about 12 games, and you know, he just switched his position last year, so this is a lot of money for a guy that just switched his positions, getting used to a new position. Then Ben Jones, center, Titans, 4-year, $17.5 million deal, a below-average center, but hey, the Titans needed some help on the offensive line. Tyvon Branch, 2-year, $10 million deal, Arizona Cardinals. He was good in Oakland, very good in Oakland. He's still fast, but, you know, he probably is getting too much money to be a backup. Next, this is a signing that I absolutely love. Tashawn Gibson to the Jacksonville Jaguars for a 5-year, $35.5 million deal. I think he had the most interceptions in the league, rather last year or the year before that. Playmaker, ball hawk, for a pretty reasonable amount of money. And this will hugely improve the pass defense for the Jaguars that desperately need it. Can you even name one cornerback that plays on the Jaguars? Now you can name a safety. All right. Next, Isa Abdul Kudus. I'm sorry if I said that name wrong. I've seen him play a couple times, but yeah, that's a very hard name to announce. The Dolphins got him for a 3-year, $12.75 million deal. What I do know about him is that he is good. And he was ranked in the top 20 by the PFF, Pro Football Focus. So I think that the Dolphins stole one here, approximately like a $4 million deal per year. So that's pretty good to get a starting safety for. Danny Trevathan signed with the Chicago Bears for a $24.5 million deal. This is the last deal I'll be saying today. For 4 years, great signing for the Bears. He's a versatile inside linebacker. He can cover, he can stop the run. He's athletic. He can cover tight ends. So he's very good. And he knows Fox's scheme, which is really huge. So you know what you're going to get when he's coming to Chicago. Ladarius Green to Pittsburgh for a 4-year, $20 million deal. All I got to say is that this offense is going to be the fastest in the league. They got one of the fastest tight ends now. They have Antonio Brown, Martavius Bryant, Le'Veon Bell. This offense is going to be scary good. Okay, so let's go to some re-signings now. Doug Martin re-signed. Good decision for him and for the team. Antonio Gates re-signed. As I said, he's a Charger for life. Derek Johnson re-signed, and Jade Howard Jay Howard, sorry, re-signed with the Kansas City Chiefs. He was the top defensive tackle on the board, so that's a good re-signing for the Chiefs. They needed him in the middle of the defense. Derek Johnson, who's a top-notch middle linebacker, good re-signing for the Chiefs. George Iocca re-signs with the Cincinnati Bengals. I really like this guy. You know, he has a lot of physical tools, and he played really well last year. I thought at least every game I saw him, he stood out. Ronaldo McLean re-signs with Dallas. They needed him. The linebacker core needed him, and he's a solid player for the Cowboys. Jeremy Lane re-signs with Seattle, and I believe he'll be the second cornerback or third cornerback on Seattle, but you know, he's pretty solid in that scheme, and it was a good re-signing by Seattle. Adam Pac-Man Jones resigns, or now he only wants to be known as Adam Jones, resigns with Cincinnati. Very good move for Cincinnati, keeping their best cornerback on the team. And I think he wanted to stay there, so that's good. Okay, so for tomorrow, some signings that happened today but have not released some details. Alex Mack is going to go to Atlanta. I believe it's a 5-year deal, but we'll see. Matt Forte has signed with the Jets, but we don't know the details yet. And a ton more, guys. So keep it locked on the Bottom Line View for your latest in free agency and analysis. Hit the like button. And if you're new, don't be afraid to subscribe. It's Mitch from the Bottom Line View. Peace.